Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed Podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I am joined, as always, by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Bopo. Welcome.
What's the word, brother?
To 2020, my brother. We are officially underway, man. What's going on? How you doing, bro?
Welcome to the year of vision. The year of vision, man. All is well. It was a little early. It was up late, but like we always say, we don't miss the recording.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all, man. And so tell me, it sounded like you got off your year to your speaking already. Did you speak? Did you have a speaking engagement or something?
Yeah. I had 2 presentations at a middle school yesterday morning, bright and early, man. I felt like Mr. Ryan Tillman himself, waking up early and going out to these schools and making this stuff happen, man. But it was cool. And I tell you what, the coolest thing about it is, it feels good to get back on the stage and to, be in your passion. But afterwards, I get so many messages, man. Like, your speech saved my life. I had a girl run up to me. We're talking about middle schoolers. Gave me a big hug, and she's crying. And she's like, you just motivated me to be better and let me know that I could do better. I'm in a foster family right now, and my sister's getting ready to have a baby, and we're separated, and she lives in a really bad area, and I was just giving up hope, and you just really inspired me and let me know that I could help her out one day. And I'm just like, man,
that's deep.
God is good, bro.
That's deep, man. And those stories, man, they just go so far, man. So let me ask you this though. Give me have you had any bloopers yet, or something that just a situation when you're speaking, bro, where
I have
let me hear it, bro.
So I have this thing, and it's funny because I always take somebody with me when I go and speak, just because I don't want to do anything in life alone. So I always bring one of my homeboys, or I bring my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So my man Jones is undefeated, man. I could call Jones up. That's my partner at work. Be like, hey, I'm doing this, and he'd be like, I'm there. And he got a whole family at the house, but he's always there. So he knows me well enough to know that I do this, and I always look at him when I do it, and he cracks up laughing. Is I do this thing where I blank out for a second, and it's just long enough for people to realize that I'm doing it. And sometimes it'll be mid speech, man. But yeah, I did it during the first presentation, and I was just going on and on, you got to believe in yourself. You can never give up. The moment you give up on yourself is the moment that you truly fail. And then I go, and I always go, and I stop for a second, and I always look up at him, and he's cracking up, and then I flip right back on. But yeah, I had one of those.
Bro, that's so fun. I had one of those yesterday too, Billy. I can't remember what it was. I said something in the wrong order. Do you remember what it was? Because Billy's that guy for me. Billy goes to all the presentation, and it's so funny. It's the weirdest. I was telling Billy about this. I don't know. There's just something about when I speak, I like somebody there with me. It makes me feel comfortable.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I've been listening to some.
Takes your mind off of it.
Yeah. I've been listening to some. If y'all, that's in the background. My little mama woke up in the background, so don't mind the little mama. It's too cute to censor. Yeah, man. So anyways, yesterday I'm doing my presentation, and I blank out, and I say something, and it was in the wrong order. And the kids caught it. They just started laughing, bro. But, it's funny. Me and AJ, before we got on today, we were talking about, the presentations. And he asked me, what kind of adapters I use. Or do I use a VGA or whatever it's called. And, as a speaker, you kind of know what he's referring to. Because when you show up to a place to speak, you got to bring different adapters and things like that. And, man, I'll never forget. When I first started speaking about 3 or 4 years ago, all I would show up with would be a thumb drive. And so there's a reason why I have my own laptop now. There's a reason why I got every single adapter. There's a reason why I got all types of laser pointers, is because at some point in time when I started speaking, bro, I would show up literally with a thumb drive. And I'll never forget, there was a time I showed up to a school. I won't tell you what school, but I showed up to a school. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but sometimes when I show up, people act like they don't even know I'm coming. They're like, "Oh, you got a presentation today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got it."
You're like, bruh, you in the office Y'all, what? Like, how do y'all not know this, bro? Yes,
Bro.
man.
So I show up. So me and Billy, we running around trying to get things ready. And then the one time when I would show up with a thumb drive, bro, I'll never forget. I plugged that bad boy in, and I got videos embedded in my PowerPoint. And so I was like, oh shoot, like it wasn't pulling up. It was just saying corrupted drive, bro. So I'm sweating before like I go on stage, like bro, like, like I'm like, oh Lord, like I might have to freestyle this. And so, dog, it was so, man, I've had every single blooper you can imagine, bro. I've gone on stage, bro, and had the same audience there that as the last time. So I'm like, oh shoot, bro, like I can't do the same presentation, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'll switch it up on the fly, but it's just funny, man, because there's just so many things that people don't realize that go into speaking.
Yes, bro. You know what, as you were saying, or as you were talking right there, my funniest blooper was the day we met, man. That's my funniest blooper of all time. Like, speaking wise, the day we met was my funniest blooper. Because for those of you who don't know, let me think how to say this without giving away too much. I get a call from somebody who was organizing this event, or helping organize this event. And she was like, hey, I really want you at this event. I think you'll bring a powerful message, encouragement, motivation, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what are the details? She sends me the details. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. So I go, what do I need? She's like, oh, you don't need nothing. It's just a Q&A, but I think you'll be able to answer the questions, you know, in depth and really be able to relate to the students. So I'm like, oh, that's easy. You know, I drive out there. Like, I don't need nobody to waste money flying me. Like, I drive out there on my own dime. Man, I fly out there. People are set. First off, I fly out there. Ryan is setting up. He got a laptop. He got a backpack full of goodies. And I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs like, So are you going to like open the presentation and then we're going to do a Q&A? And then the guy who was actually organizing the event, he's like, nah, you got like 45 minutes to an hour. And
I'm like, let's go, AJ. I'm over there sitting in front row. Like, let's go.
Oh yeah, you were sitting right up front too. Like, who is this dude?
Man, that was so. But man, that was the start of our relationship, man. And that man is so funny because things just work full circle so many ways. Like, you know, if y'all hear my kids in the background, don't mind them. Like I told you, we do things to give y'all this podcast. We family. Yeah. So if y'all listen to We Family, so you know, my family is getting my little man's getting ready for school right now. So we typically record the night when they're not here. But I might have to go put an end to that in a minute. I'm going to go take my belt off.
It's early too, man. It's like 7 o'clock your time right now?
Oh, man. Yeah, it's like 7 o'clock. But anyways, yeah, that was the start of our relationship, man, when we met in St. Louis. And, you know, I met so many people the same weekend. That's when I met E.T. That's when I met Jorge. I met my man Jamal, 9 to 5 millionaire, who's doing some crazy things right now, Steven. So... Yeah, but anyways, moving forward, man, if you haven't seen, you know, I do got my 49er hat on for a reason. Our NFL season is in full effect, and I'd be remiss if I wasn't wearing America's team right now. So,
America's team? What?
Yeah, just so you know,
that ain't a Cowboys hat, man.
No, if y'all didn't know, the Niners are America's team, and we are in a prime spot this week. So. You notice AJ ain't saying nothing over there. His Ohio State Buccaneers got smashed, and or Ohio State Buckeyes. I don't even know what they are. The Buckeyes got smashed, and then you got his Cleveland Browns, which are boo boo, which is why their mascot is the Browns.
Yeah, I don't rep the Browns, man. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh man. So anyways, man, anything new on your end, AJ? What else is new, man? We got a big month coming up next month. That's the real Super Bowl for you, is next month, right?
That's the real Super Bowl. Yeah, the little one is expected late next month. So it's funny because we cleaned up the nursery. We had like a bunch of boxes and like just random stuff laying around the nursery. So we cleaned it up this past weekend, and we just kind of like soaked in the moment. Like, wow, like our lives are about to change. Like just looking at the crib and the bassinet and the rocker and the dresser and the paintings and all the little decor and teddy bears and all of that. I'm like, man, it's about to get real. But we're excited, man. We're excited. So
that's so dope. So cool, man.
Yeah, our church does a 21-day fast to start the year every year. And you could fast from whatever. You could fast from social media. You could fast from food. You could fast from, whatever, TV, whatever it is that'll get you closer to God. And it's a sacrifice in some sense. So I'm gonna do the Daniel fast coming up.
Oh,
and
nice.
just really pray over the pregnancy and pray over different things in my life. So that's coming up and exciting.
Yeah, I should probably do that. I should probably do that as well.
Yeah, have you ever fasted before?
Yeah, I fasted once before, and when I fasted, man, I literally didn't eat nothing for, I want to say like a week or something like that, a little less. Only thing I had was like water and maybe fruit, and it wasn't like a lot of fruit. And bruh, I'll never forget, man. I'll never forget the last night of the fast. I'm like watching the clock, waiting for it to strike midnight. Man, I went to Jack in the Box at midnight 01, bro. Got me like got me like a junior bacon cheeseburger. My stomach was jacked up after that too.
Oh yeah, you can't just dive into Jack in the Box. Nah. When you on a fast, you gonna be on the toilet or CVS's parking lot. One of the two.
And if you listen to our podcast, you know exactly what he's talking about too. Oh man. Yep. So
what's up with you, man?
Not much, man. We got back into full effect yesterday, man. I spoke one time at a high school yesterday, and then, man, a lot of good things coming up. My wife and I are in the process of selling our house. So it's craziness over here, especially discussing next steps. I met some very, very crazy good people this last few weeks. I met a guy by the name of Jason Redman, who is a former Navy SEAL. And if some of our listeners, I'm positive, know who Jason Redman is. And so just know we've talked to Jay, and it sounds like we're going to be having him on the podcast here pretty soon. There's this guy I met named Bedros Koulian, who is the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp. He owns almost 800 locations worldwide. He's been coaching me in some things. So, man, we've made some powerful connections already to start the new year. And so it's just going to be good, man. It's going to be really, really good. And the wife and kids are doing well. So we just pushing forward. You know what I mean?
Good. And we're amongst a celebrity right now. I don't know if you knew that or not, Ryan, but Billy is a celebrity.
Oh yeah.
You go to the bank and you get recognized. Man, that's like a whole other level of celebrity status. So
hey, I low key want to play the voice note that Billy sent us, but Billy might kill me. So, oh man,
hey, give it up for Billy, man.
Give it up for Billy. Oh man, but on a real note, man.
Hey, just so y'all know, that's how excited we get.
Yeah. When you guys do stuff like that, like, don't ever feel like we're gonna be Hollywood. Don't ever feel like, we won't say hi. Like, we do get excited about that stuff. And so on the real, I truly do appreciate you, AJ, appreciate you, even Billy, appreciate you guys. Even though Billy's always behind the camera, usually, you don't understand, like, that dude, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be what we're doing right. We wouldn't be able to accomplish what we're accomplishing right now by any means. And so yeah, it's cool. So yeah, we do have a group text that goes back, and it's just hilarious. So shout out to all of our followers and listeners. Shout out to Billy. Billy's a real celebrity out there. They wouldn't have recognized me. They would have recognized Billy though. So anyways,
yeah, for sure.
Hey, well, let's get into this, man. There's some current events out there. One of the things I just briefly wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to get here political, but I don't like to get all political about stuff. But obviously, recently we had the United States attacked one of the key commanders or generals or whatever for, I think it's Iran, and somebody had posted something. Let me see if I can find it. So T.I. If you guys are not familiar with T.I. is a rapper, and T.I. reposted something that actually came from Iran. I guess Iran basically said something to the effect of death to America, death to the president, all this other stuff. And T.I. went out of his way to repost what this person had said. And it was really quite, frightening to think that, we have, here it is right here. So says, oh dang, where's it at? I can't even find it where it is at, but here it is. So the guy goes on to talk about, death to America, death to the president. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna seek revenge. We will get revenge and all this other stuff. And T.I. goes on to say in his comments, he said, "Yep, exactly what he said. Ain't no Iranian never called me no." And the N-word, infested our communities with dope and then locked us up for it. allowed the police to pull us over and gun us down with no accountability, or enslaved us and tried to act like the crap ain't happened. So as I pray for our soldiers, I'm also going to be praying for theirs. This ain't our war, champ. And so that really upset me, because despite what, political party you are, despite what type of support or lack thereof you have for the president, this is America, and we have freedoms like that nobody else has in this world. The mere fact that T.I. came from a drug-infested neighborhood, came from the trap, came from a place that is so, run down, that can go out there and be successful, be a multi-millionaire, and have the influence he had, he would not be able to do that in any other country thereof. So the mere fact that you want to sit here and say that you can side with somebody that says death to America, death to the president, because of your own feelings that you have that are occurring, that are happening in the United States, is ridiculous. And it's frightening, because when you now have Americans that are going out of their way to side with terrorists, like these cats are terrorists, and I don't think people understand the how substantial that is. And like, people in Iran are getting gassed. They're gassing their own people. They're torturing their own people. Just yesterday, I read an article where you have it says, there goes all these people that are there at the funeral for this general. But it also says in the same article that a lot of those people were coerced by their own government to be there as propaganda. So that way it almost shows to the world that there are more people that really stand up for this general that really do. And so it really was disturbing to think that you have an American, that can go out of his way and say, yep, exactly what he said, and back the words of a terrorist. So I don't know, how does that make you feel, bro? Because it angers me right now when I hear crap like that. Like, have we gotten so desensitized to think that life is really that bad? Police are really that bad?
It makes me sick to my stomach. But the thing that upsets me the most about it is the moment that you said T.I. posted something, I immediately knew that it was going to be something negative. And the reason why is, I don't know what happened in his life or when it happened, but all he does is try to stir the pot and post negativity. And then he tries to cover it up as being woke, which in all actuality is, all he's doing is furthering the gap between Party A and Party B. And that's literally all he does. And I used to mess with T.I. Like, T.I. used to be in one of my top 5 artists, all of his CDs. Like, I used to mess with T.I. so hard. But for some reason in his head, something happened. And I don't know if it's the amount of support that he gets, or the amount of interaction he gets, or maybe he just likes being looked at as a public figure that stands for whatever. He started posting all of this, man, and it is sad. And another sad thing about it is, it's almost becoming a trend to jump on that train and make a World War III meme and laugh about it. But in all actuality, like, a war is, like, the possibility of a war happening is very close, or very high, right? Like there's a good chance that we might be in a war. And I don't know if we think that we are untouchable, but there are people here, like, who are ready to arm up and cause damage. I mean, like, look at what 9/11 happened. Like, look at 9/11 and the tragedy that happened. Like, we would be so naive to think that something like that cannot happen here. And I seen so many people like retweet or screenshot this tweet and reshare it, saying something to the effect of, hey, Iran, just so you know, the address to the White House is such and such. And it's like,
and that's what's scary. And then, like, so you talk about being woke, like, no, you're asleep. Because what do you think? Like, if you're, if you go to read any military book, read anything about strategy or tactics, what you want to use, you always want to catch the enemy by surprise, because that's one of your best, tactics in order to have a successful mission. So when you see these people from Iran or these Iranian generals, and they hear this thing, they hear all these the comments, they're like, man, they think we're playing, but they're really not. And so when I bring up guys like Jason Redman, guys that have gone out in not just being a part of the military, but gone out and been a Navy SEAL and gone out there and taken fire, been shot, been blown up. How do you think he feels about that comment, talking about, oh, you know what? Yeah, what he said. Like, none of us have ever experienced any type of chemical warfare ever.
Right.
So go out there and watch the videos. I wish T.I. would post some of the videos of kids out there that are being suffocated by gas.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like just not that long ago, we hear my daughter in here playing around, and she's waking up, and last night I'm sitting in the comforts of my own home, just looking around because we're selling, and I'm like, man, like I don't even grasp how good I got it sometimes. I'm like, man, I got it really good. Like we're in the comforts of my own home. Me and my wife, don't knock me, but I'm watching The Bachelor with my wife last night. I've learned. I've learned. Hey, I've learned, man. Happy wife, happy life, man. Me and my wife got to have some quality time. So she got me. She got me after 7 seasons. She got me after 7 seasons. But anyways,
we'll talk about that later.
I digress. But needless to say, I'm in the comforts of my own home, watching TV with my wife, and just my kids are upstairs sound asleep, and I'm just we are living good. So the fact that you want to sit here and say, oh, you know what, like, yeah, what he said, death to America, death to a president, just shows and displays just pure ignorance. And you want to mask it, like you said, by saying, oh, you need to stay woke. Like, no, bro, you're asleep. You are asleep to what's going on right now. And that's what, and it scares me, especially when you want to throw in, and then all of a sudden what's crazy is you bring, something that we're talking about, war and things that are going on in Iran and terrorist attacks. And then how do you bring that back and then match it up and say, police this, police that, police this, police that? Like the two had nothing to do with each other, but yet you took another topic and you matched it up with a topic that has nothing to do with the other one.
His agenda. He matched it up with his agenda. And I want to give you an example of exactly what is happening right now. It's no secret. When I was growing up, I lived in a household full of danger, threat. I was physically assaulted. I watched my mother get sexually assaulted. Like the house that I grew up in, more times than not, was a very hostile environment. And there was never a point where I was like, I wish death on both of my parents. I'm this, I'm that. There were a lot of times where I was like, man, this is not right. Like this needs to change. Something needs to happen. So guess what I did? Living in a household at 16 years old, what I did is I seen my mother as the victim. I seen my father as the aggressor. I saved up enough money. I bought a disillusion packet. With the help of my mom's best friend, we filled out the paperwork and I divorced my parents. I did something about the hostile environment that I was in. And there's so many people who look at America and they go, oh, America's this and America's that. Death to the president, death to American. They do this, they do that. Hey, the same thing with my house is the same thing. The same rules apply to my house than they do in America. The front door is open. Mm-hmm. You could leave, man. Mm-hmm. You could leave. It's not that bad. Or do something about it. I'm so sick of people who hop online and they have their agenda. I hate cops agenda. And no matter what happens, it automatically comes back to police officers, right? Like this one ain't got nothing to do with police officers. A police officer ain't go out there and kill this guy. This guy wasn't a police officer. He killed he's responsible for the death of 600 Americans, which people fail to realize. Like, come on.
Exactly.
And you want to hop on there and be like, the address to the White House is, and yeah, I agree, death to America, man. Like, look, you could leave, bro. Like, this is the same place that took you from rags to riches, but yet you forget that. But yet, if someone was to say, oh, T.I., you turning your back on the hood, he would immediately be like, nah, I'm in the hood for like blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, you corny, man. Like, T.I., you are corny. And I'll be the first to say it, man. Like, that's the corniest thing I ever heard in my life.
Exactly. Let me tell you. So this was another comment. This was a comment in response to one of the videos that was posted. So it was a comment on President Trump's page about, one of his comments that he made. But this is, I'm assuming, is from an Iranian. Today, General Soleimani, whatever his name is, reached his old dream of dying for Islam in his homeland of Iran. And the U.S. showed its weakness and fear of the great Iranian general to the world in this brutal move. America knows that we have no fear of death, and with the bravery and dedication of our generals, we will not step back from the battlefield for a moment. And according to our leader, Saeed Ali Khamenei, we will take severe revenge on you, and you, like the third 33-day war, Tabas adventure, and 8 years of imposed war, you will be favored against Iran, and you will soon realize that this is not just a slogan. And then they go on to talk about their slogan about death to America. So the reason I read that is because how can you be so desensitized to say death, what he said, death to America, death to the president. Like, bro, you have over $1 million some odd in your account, which if we don't realize that, I think if you have $30,000 or if you make $30,000 a year, you're technically viewed upon in the world as being rich. If you look at it on a globally. So T.I. take $1 million in his bank. He's not just rich, he's filthy rich from a global standpoint. So somebody that's from the hood, that's, you know, from, you know, as they call the trap, drugs, gangs, all the type of stuff. The same country that gave you all those millions is the same country that you want to basically say death to America. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, flat out. So it just really bothered me.
And not only that, but T.I. raps about his hood, like holding it down. I don't know the name of his hood, but he quotes his hood so often in his raps, but yet his hood is in America.
Yeah.
That's like me hating the house that I live in, but I'm holding my bedroom down. Yeah, my bedroom, ain't nobody messing with my bedroom. My bedroom this, blah, blah, blah. Your bedroom is still in the house that you hate.
Exactly. Like, why are we man,
bro,
it's just frustrating, man, because the work that you and I and Billy and so many others that are out there doing, trying to really bridge that gap, this is what tears us apart. This is really what tears us apart. And if we are going to divide ourselves as a country, how much, like that lady said, how much weaker does that make us look on a global standpoint? It makes us look weak, and it makes us look vulnerable to be attacked. And so, unfortunately, what's going to happen is we will be attacked, and there's going to be a lot of lives lost. And unfortunately, that attack is going to have to, you know, make some eyebrows go up and be like, oh, shoot, you know what? We do need to draw together. But unfortunately, we may not be able to come back as strong as we came back after 9/11. You know what I mean? Because we're so divided. And that's why me and AJ are so committed at bridging this gap between law enforcement and the community, so that way we can get rid of excuses that people make as far as why America needs to be attacked because, you know, police have done this and that to me. It just sounds dumb. It just sounds so dumb on all levels. And so, you know,
that's because it is dumb, man. So what I'm going to do is, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I came across the video, and I don't know if you or Billy has seen this video yet, but it's a video of a bunch of U.S. soldiers singing Amazing Grace. And it will bring a tear to your eye. And just so y'all know I'm not lying, look, I'm going to hold it up to the camera. That's the video. You see, it says yesterday is, you know, when I got it. I'm going to send this to Billy. I'm going to let him extract the audio from it. And we need to open and close the podcast with this because it is beautiful. It's meaningful.
That sounds great.
We are proud Americans and nothing like, listen. Yeah.
So let me read to you a comment that I got. And I actually posted this on my Instagram the other day, and it's kind of a lead into the main topic that I want to ask AJ, or we're going to get into in a minute. But it says, my cousin, and I'm not going to mention the guy's name, was shot dead in 2004 by the cops in Humboldt County. Even before this happened, I've always had bad experiences with law enforcement / police officers since I was a child in the 90s. In 2004, my cousin attacked a police officer with a machete while tripping on mushrooms and was shot dead on sight. Since then, my anger and animosity for law enforcement grew tremendously. You were the first person that has changed my perspective of how I view my cousin's passing. I still have many questions that will never be answered, but through this video specifically, which I don't believe is a coincidence that I happen to come across, I have found some understanding and closure on why maybe that officer shot to kill that day. Long live my cousin. I still believe he should be here with us. But that was an amazing post to me because, and what he's referencing was that video I posted a while back, my Tillman take, where the guy was chasing the officer with a machete, and the officers ended up taking his life. The mere fact that this guy who had his cousin who lost his life at the hands of police, that he can recognize and see the situation different and understand, like, wow, maybe this is why that happened. Like, we have to realize as police officers that, you know, common sense for us may not be common sense to the average citizen when it comes to topics or subjects regarding law enforcement. And that's one of the things that was hard for me to understand at first, because now think about how many times we go out, AJ, and do our job and we're like, man, this is common sense. Like, how do you not understand that? You know what I mean? But if you can compare it to any other thing in life, like when you have a lot of subject knowledge in a specific area, all of a sudden you start to feel like, oh man, like this is common sense, but it's really not common sense. You've just gotten that much smarter on the topic. And so, what once for me would be like, man, why do officers have to, kill somebody that has a machete? How come they can't shoot him in the arm, shoot him in the leg? Now that I understand why we shoot somebody to, stop the threat, shoot them in the biggest part of their body, which would be their chest, that wasn't common sense to this guy that sent me that comment. And so this is what gives me hope to go out and do what we do when T.I. makes ignorant comments like he makes, because you know what, this right here gives me hope in America that people can start, putting down their previous thoughts and actually open their mind up to something that's real, something that's honest, something that's transparent, as opposed to just buying into propaganda that gives you a platform just to make things go viral. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot more people who support and encourage the positivity instead of their own agenda. It's just unfortunate that you have people who have the influence and following, such as a person like T.I. that wants to spread that negativity and send that message to potentially millions of people. And as we all know, there are a lot of people out there who don't have the the time or maybe the intellect to dissect things themselves. So they take the first thing that they hear or the first thing that they see and they run with it. So think about how many people have that mindset. The first thing that they hear, the first thing that they see is the negativity that T.I. posted. They take it and they run with it. And look at the damage he's causing. All by being a social media star, all by being a celebrity that has his own agenda for whatever reason. And he wants to spread that negativity.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition this. We're going to move. So we've got done talking about civilians a little bit, or a civilian that is just very frustrating. But I always like to bring things back to, okay, what can we do as police officers to improve some of the current states that we're in? So I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question. Actually, it's not really that hypothetical. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I want to know how you respond to a situation. All right. So here's a situation. You do a traffic stop. You pull over somebody. He, appears to be, let's just say he looks like, he's wearing, baggy clothing. He's tattooed from head to toe, maybe tattoos on his eyes. He looks like he's been around the block. Like he looks like he's done some things. So you pull him over. How do you contact him when you talk to him about the vehicle?
Like everybody else, I walk up, talk to him. Hey, that's the reason why I pulled you over.
Yeah. So tell me, what would you say is if I'm that guy, you pull me over, what are you going to tell me?
I would say, first off, Ryan, your hat is very ugly, and that's the reason why I pulled you over.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going straight to your boss.
Introduce myself, get his ID, registration. If he had a face tattoo, I'll probably ask if it hurt. I do that a lot just to kind of like spark a conversation. That's and then go from there. If he hands me everything, go back to the car, check it out. If he comes back blank, if he had an infraction and I feel the need to write him for it, write him for the infraction, send him on his way. If he come back with some warrants, then it's a different ball game.
Okay. So same scenario, but let's say you pull over a soccer mom now. How do you contact the soccer mom?
Well, I'm probably gonna have less to relate to with the soccer mom, so I'm gonna be a little bit more uncomfortable. But I'm gonna walk up to the car, greet her, try to find something I could break the ice. Like, hey, there's a soccer ball. You got kids that play soccer. You play soccer. Talk to her for a little bit. Same thing I would have did with the guy with face tats about his tattoos on his face, and get her information. Go back to the car, run her. She come back blank. She has a violation. Cite her if I feel the need. If she got some warrants, it's time to play soccer.
Okay. It's time to play soccer. Now, let me ask you this question. Would you ask both people? Well, let me ask you this. Would you ask the first guy, before you go run and do anything else, before you go back to your car and figure out who he is, would you ask that guy if he's on probation or parole?
No.
Okay. Would you ask the soccer mom before you go and run her if she's on probation or parole?
Nah.
Why not?
Is there a reason why I'm asking it?
I'm asking you.
Without reason, right? Like, unless someone told me, like, hey, John is in this red minivan. He's on probation. He got a gun in the car. That might change some things, right? Like, then I might go up and be like, oh, you go by John, right? Like, yeah, I met you that one time. And then if he confirms his name is John, then I might be like, you know what, I met your PO the other day. And then if he confirms he's on PO, on probation, then I might try to work my way into the car because things are adding up. Same thing with the soccer mom. Somebody calls me, but like, hey, the soccer mom, she got a body in the trunk of this red van. I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to try to look through the windows and all of that. But I mean, without reason, I just wouldn't automatically assume that he or she was on probation or parole.
Okay, so the reason I asked you this is because, I'm a trainer. And so one of the things that, I've seen is, and this is a learning for officers, one, but two is learning for civilians. And I'm going to tie it back into the topic of perception. So, you go, same like you, AJ, you go pull over the soccer mom, develop, relationship, figure out what's going on. That should be no different than the way you contact somebody that, may look different, has like, maybe even if he does look like he's a gang member or, he may look like he's been around the block. There's nothing to say that you need to change up your delivery, your speech to them. You know what I mean? Other than the fact of you tactically, you may, respond one way or another, but at the same time, a soccer mom can kill you just as much as a gang member can. What I'm getting at is there was a situation where somebody pulled a person over, an officer pulled a person over and sees the person and he looks like he's been around the block. He has tattoos, blasted from head to toe, tattoos on his face, and if you've worked in jails and stuff like that, there are certain type of prison and jail tattoos that people get that you can tell the quality, but sometimes people just have bad quality tattoos that look like they can be from prison or jail. But anyways, after asking, what's your name, license, registration, please, it goes into, have you ever been on parole or probation? Or are you on parole or probation? Whereas same officer does a traffic stop on somebody and it's a soccer mom, but the question, have you ever been on parole or probation, never comes out. So the reason I bring that up is because that is huge when it comes to perception and the way people perceive us and, the profiling or all that other stuff. And this is what I mean by that. And I'm tie it all together right now. I have family members right now that are blasted from head to toe. Tattoos everywhere, some good, some bad tattoos, but never ever had a run-in with the law. So you come and I do a traffic stop on you and you ask me if I'm on probation or parole, or you ask them if they're on probation or parole, they're going to feel some type of way because they're going to feel that you automatically have now stereotyped them as looking or acting like a criminal. Whereas a soccer mom, she could, who knows, for all we know, she could have just killed her husband, which has happened before, or killed her family, which has recently happened before, and just been driving somewhere. And all of a sudden, she doesn't look like she has any type of record, but we're treating people differently based on the way they look. And so I said, I understand where the person's going. I understand why you would ask a person if they're on probation or parole. However, there's a way about asking it. And so as an officer, what I've done is I would ask somebody, the soccer mom or the guy that looks like he's been around the block, have you ever been in trouble before? And if you say, yeah, hey, I've been in trouble before. Well, now I can ask you, okay, what type of trouble? Have you ever gotten a traffic ticket? Have you ever been arrested? If they tell me, oh yeah, I've been arrested before. Now you can go in and say, hey, have you ever been on probation or parole? Because now that's going to open that door. But don't open Pandora's box, or don't open that door unless you have to go through it, because now what you've done is you've now tainted the way people perceive law enforcement as being judgmental. All right. So the point I'm trying to prove is that, perception is everything in our profession. And as police officers, we have to remember that. And so when we go to talk about that stop that I just mentioned, one of the issue is like, when I approach anybody, whether it be a soccer mom or somebody that looks like a gang member, the initial approach should be very, very similar. One of the ways that I typically get to find out if this person, maybe, somebody that's been around the block, I'll ask, hey, have you been in trouble before? Ever got a traffic ticket, anything like that before? And if they tell me, yeah, I've been in trouble, or yeah, I've got a traffic ticket. Okay, well, now is your chance to say, okay, are you on probation or parole? And so the reason I asked you those hypothetical questions, is because I wanted to see, like, what's the standard practice and what are other people doing out there? And, I know some people, I've heard this so many times, people say, oh, law enforcement ain't like what it used to be. And, oh, we got to do all these things and we got to be nice to people. You know what? There's nothing wrong with making our profession better. And unfortunately, the perception of how we come across to people as being judgmental sometimes or being stereotypical, that's so important. And that's why you get guys, and I'm not going to say this is the sole reason why you get guys like T.I. that make ignorant comments like he made, but it's also not helping those situations when somebody feels like they're being stereotyped because you're asking if they're on probation or parole, man. So what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah. Also, can you imagine, like, I can't imagine being pulled over and having somebody ask me, like, you're on probation, right? Like, bro, my mind would be blown. Like, I would probably say something crazy. Like, bro, are you serious right now? Like, let me step out this car and holler at you real quick, man.
Exactly.
But you have to think about that. Like, there are a lot of people who may, in your mind, appear a certain way, but that doesn't mean they are who you think they may look like, right? Like, bro, it's so funny you say that. I arrested a guy last night, and he's covered in tattoos. The only part of his body that isn't covered in tattoos is his face. I mean, all the way up to his ears, behind his ears, back of his head, all the way down to his feet, covered in tattoos. Now, granted, we caught him with a firearm that he was illegally carrying, had a bunch of ammunition, all of that, right? But we had a conversation, and after the conversation, he kind of looked at me and he started laughing, and he was like, it's so funny. He goes, a lot of people that I hang out with would automatically look at you and see your badge and think that you're a certain way. But here you are, you've been nothing but cool with me. He's like, man, you could have really took my life back there. You didn't do that. You're giving me advice. Like, I could tell you care about me. You want me to succeed. He's like, when I look at you, I see a human. And I was like, bro, you're absolutely right. Like, it would be no different than me looking at you and seeing all of your tattoos and automatically assuming like, oh, he's got gun and he's got dope in the car and he's a wanted felon and he's on probation. Like, I'm not automatically going to assume that until you do something that makes me think that, okay, he might have a gun, or, oh, hold on, he said this, or he did this, or heard this, or somebody called, or whatever. He might be on probation. Let me look into it a little bit more. Like, there's no difference, right? Like, you're going to look at me and see my badge and think that I'm a certain way based off of whatever. There's no difference than me looking at you and seeing your tattoos. So a lot of police officers need to take that in consideration, because when they do things like that, they may do it unintentionally, but it does drive that gap further and further, or increase that gap.
Exactly. You can't judge a book by its cover. And like you just said, a lot of people, when they do it, and the officer that I saw do this, and it's not just him, there's other people, there's not just this officer, there's other people that I've seen this, they do it all the time from all different other agencies. Hey, you're on probation, you're on parole. But like you said, that a lot of it is they're doing it unintentionally, but it's very, very important. Like, somebody told me, a long time ago, when I was, as far as being a Christian and trying to be a good guy, is like, you got to think about what you're thinking about. You know what I mean? And
yes,
because when you think about what you're thinking about, it should really help you, make sure you take captive of your thoughts and making sure your mind is in the right place. And so it's almost that same concept, is you really got to think about what you're saying, because what may seem minor to you is really not minor to that other person. And so perception is so critical about how people perceive us when we're contacting them. Like, they may view us as being, hey, he's being racist, or hey, he's being stereotypical, or he's judging me, whatever it may be, all because of a simple way of play on words. And that play on words is huge. And so a lot of officers, oh man, this is so stupid. Like, we shouldn't have to, play our words or change our words. Like, no, yes, you should, because, words are very, very powerful. Even, and that's a biblical principle right there. It talks, it equivocates words being, like as sharp as a sword, I think it is. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. So it's, words are very, very powerful. Another thing I was going to say on that is, think about how many police officers that we know that are covered in tattoos. You know what I mean? So you can't just necessarily take somebody that has tattoos as being, oh, like, now you're a criminal. Like, you can't take anything anymore. Like, you can't take anything anymore as saying, oh, this is what this person is up to. You know what I mean? So yes, we just got to be careful. I asked you that. I posed that question to you earlier just because, I just wanted to, I wanted to see what your take on what is, and I wanted it also to be a learning lesson for everybody that's also listening to our podcast.
For sure. On a serious note, though, we do got to do this officer down. Today's day.
Yes, let's do that. Let's get into that.
7 days into the new year, and we already have 2 line of duty deaths, and we're as always, we're going to recognize them by name, where they work and their end of watch. So the first one we lost is Investigator Ryan Fortini, New York State PD. His end of watch was 1/1 of 2020. Then we also lost a public safety officer by the name of Jackson Winkeller, from the Florence Regional Airport Department in South Carolina. And his end of watch was 1/5 of 20. The first one, his cause of death was 9/11 related illness. And the second was due to gunfire. So we're already a week into the year and we have lost an officer due to gunfire.
But go back real quick, and just this is what's crazy. So we go back to the beginning of this podcast when we're talking about the war in Iran. We still have people feeling the effects of 9/11, and that was over 10 years ago. Well over 10 years ago. Actually, no, over 20 is going to be 20 years, ain't it?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
2000.
It was 9/11/01.
01, yeah.
So is that 9/11/01? So
that's 19.
Dang, that's 19 years. Wow, that's crazy. So
hey, I'm mad we were all scratching our head. Like,
I know. Hey, y'all can see we ain't no math guys. But that's crazy though. So we still have officers that are still feeling the effects of a terrorist attack that happened 19 years ago, and yet here we are, like you said, making memes about World War III and, you know, talking about death to America and death to the president and what he said. Like, that's why this work that we're doing is so powerful. And, you know, I know we barely scratched the surface on it today as far as, you know, the way people perceive us when we do our job as police officers. But if you're an officer, I want to plead with you. Take your job serious. You got to take it serious. Take the words that you say serious. And one of the things that I ponder on all the time is, like, you know, what me and AJ are doing, it is very, very, in some type of way, scary. And what I mean by that is, like, I can go out there tomorrow and lose my cool on somebody. And what do you think the first thing that the person is going to do? They're going to come back to our podcast and see every single thing that we talk about. Is he is he living up to what he's been saying on this podcast? You know what I mean? Or I can go out there tomorrow, get into a shooting or whatever it may be, and they're going to go back. Or if I use force on somebody, they're going to be like, is he living up to what he's saying? And so,
I mean,
go ahead.
Even after my incident, there was a very popular website who published an article about myself, and it was like the 5 things you need to know about Officer AJ. And one of those 5 things was the podcast. Like, that's what it is. Like, absolutely. Like, we leave ourselves vulnerable for the sake of transparency. Just so you know, look, this is what you get. This is who we are. This is what we believe in. But I firmly believe that we're in the positions that we are in because of that. Because of that, because we care, because we're able to see in the middle. We see the right and we see the left, or we see side A and we see side B, but we understand side A needs moving a little bit closer, and so does side B. The left needs to scoot in, the right needs to scoot in. We need to meet in the middle.
And that's what you would call, my friend, really being woke. Because what T.I. is referring to as being woke is not. I mean, that is just, like I said, it's just pure ignorance. And so as officers out there, I want to encourage you guys. This is the start of the new year. It's 2020. Go out there. Let's improve on our day job. Let's improve on doing the jobs that we do to serve our communities. Let's not ever forget why we do what we do. And if this has become a job that is now just a job, and you're not happy doing what you're doing, save yourself. Save the community, and maybe it might be time for a career change. It's never too late for a career change, and I don't ever want you to think that it's ever too late. But in our profession, it's always, you know, if this is something that you do not care about doing, we have the one profession that the way you go out there and feel on a day-to-day basis can actually alter another person's life. And so because of that, it's so important that either A, if you're not happy, you need to figure out how you can get happy, or B, if there's no way that you're going to be able to get happy in our profession, you might want to change and do another profession, because like I said, we have the one profession that can legitimately alter another person's life. And so it is important, and it's incumbent upon us to always be operating on a high level and high capacity, because you know, we have a job and a duty to do, and that is to serve the communities that we were sworn in to protect and serve.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Couldn't have said it better. My man is woke.
No, stay woke. Stay woke.
My man is woke.
This is actually going to be a shorter episode just because my bootleg internet, the way my internet's set up today, you know. So we're not going to go into too much longer, but I want to just tell you guys, I truly do love you guys, truly do care about you guys. This podcast is being brought to you guys by the one and only Breaking Beers United. It's a growing company. We are moving into, I don't even know how many years we've been a company now. I think they say most companies fail after the first 5 years. And so if we're not approaching year 5, we are very close to it. And every single year we've been growing and growing and growing. So that's a sign of a good company. And I wouldn't be able to do it without my brother AJ over here and without Billy. So straight up. On that note, guys, hey, AJ can't hear me. His internet froze. He got the bootleg internet. With that being said, we will be out of here. It was a pleasure talking to y'all. We will see y'all on the next episode. Can you hear me?
Breaking up, brother. Can't hear you.
Hey, we love y'all. I'm going to go get my internet fixed because it's broken. I need to get off of that Cricket Wireless or whatever it's called. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. When we've been here 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I once was blind, but now I see.